Michael Pahira had just moved back in with his mother to help care for her while she is battling cancer.
The man died a hero.
America trooper Michael Pahira Jr. moved back to help his mother to get through cancer treatment. He was on the shoulder of Interstate 81 during a routine truck inspection during the morning that he was killed. The man, prosecutors say, was driving that truck, had been ordered out of the United States 13 months before. 5 separate systems had the chance to stop this from happening.
A Massachusetts man has been charged in the death of a Pennsylvania state trooper after a deadly crash. Trooper Michael Pahira Jr. was conducting an inspection along Interstate 81 when he was hit by a semi-truck driven by Brockton resident Michael Bond.
What is up, guys? Tyson, DeLaCruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. July 1st, 2026, Interstate 81 southbound in a Pennsylvania county in the central eastern part of the state, roughly 2 hours east of Pennsylvania. Trooper Michael Pahira Jr., 44 years old, nearly 20 years with the Pennsylvania State Police. He had a tractor trailer pulled over on the shoulder. He was inspecting it for safety violations. That is the job here. A second 18-wheeler, one of those 80,000-pound trucks that pass you on the freeway every single day, left the roadway. It struck Michael's patrol car, then hit the truck that he was inspecting, then hit him. Both cabs caught on fire. Construction workers nearby ran towards the flames trying to help. Michael was airlifted to the hospital. Unfortunately, he did not survive. The driver of that second truck, Michael Bond, 33 years old, a Haitian national living in Brockton, Massachusetts, about 20 miles south of Boston. Michael Bond was charged with homicide by vehicle, involuntary manslaughter, reckless driving, and 4 additional counts. He is charged, not convicted. Under the law, he's presumed innocent until the jury decides otherwise. That's just the way that it works. I got to say that for the YouTube purposes. That is the accurate version, and I'm going to give it to you straight here. Here's what the Department of Homeland Security, the federal agency responsible for immigration enforcement, confirmed publicly the day his arrest. Michael Bond had been ordered to leave the United States in June 2025. 13 months, you guys. He was still here, still licensed, still hauling freight on the freeways. Let me walk you through the chain here, link by link, because each of it absolutely matters to understand the entire scope of this. Once you see all 5, you'll never hear a spin version of this story the same way again here. Link 1. This is the kicker. Joe Biden flew him in. Michael Bond did not sneak across the river or sneak across the border. He did not walk through a gap in the fence. In July 2024, the Biden administration's humanitarian parole program flew him directly into Fort Lauderdale International Airport. Humanitarian parole is a legal tool that allows the federal government to temporarily admit somebody for urgent reasons, whether that's a medical emergency, a court case, a safety crisis. During the Joey Biden years, this program was used to fly Haitians into American airports at the rate of roughly 30,000 people per month at its peak. 30,000 people a month at its peak, okay? Not through the border, directly by air, bypassing the normal entry processing points here. Michael Bond came that way in July 2024 in Fort Lauderdale. Link number 2, the system said no. He stayed anyways. He applied for something called TPS, Temporary Protected Services. That is a program that allows people to remain in the United States when the conditions of their home country are considered too dangerous to return. Think of it as an extended emergency visa here. That was denied in October 2024. The Department of Homeland Security then terminated his parole entirely in June 2025, and they issued a formal removal order to leave the United States. He didn't leave. He stayed in Brockton and kept living his life.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection admitted Bond into the United States at Fort Lauderdale International Airport as a parolee. Back in June of last year, Bond was issued a notice of termination of parole. Bond refused to leave the country and remained in the United States illegally despite his parole being denied.
There are approximately 1.4 million people in the United States right now right now under final removal orders, meaning the government has legally told them to leave the United States, and they are still here. When that number feels abstract, Pahira's story is the version with his name on it. The order existed, the enforcement, it didn't. The gap between link 2 and link 3 is where the story here actually lives. Link 3, Massachusetts handed him the keys. In March 2025, 9 months after arriving, Michael Bond received a non-domiciled commercial driver's license from the Massachusetts Registry of Motor Vehicles. Let me explain those words and what they actually mean, because that is a piece that matters the most in this story. A commercial driver's license, a CDL for short, is a special license required to legally operate a massive tractor trailer. It is completely separate from your regular driver's license. You have to test for it, you have to train for it, and you have to prove that you can safely control an 80,000-pound vehicle. The federal government obviously set these standards. A non-domicile CDL is what states issue to somebody who doesn't permanently live here. It was originally designed for American truckers who wanted to get the license in a different state, say a Wisconsin driver who wanted to work in Texas. That was the general idea here. And over time, it became a workaround for people like this. Foreign nationals in our country temporarily, not so temporarily, could get a U.S. trucking license, a U.S. commercial license through this particular category because they don't have a permanent state address. They use a non-domicile lane here. Massachusetts handed Michael Bond that in March 2025. Link 4, they renewed it 8 months after the removal order. February 2026, the Massachusetts Registry of Motor Vehicles renewed his CDL, his commercial driver's license, 8 months after the federal government told him to leave the United States. Link number 5, nobody connected the records. The federal database that states use to verify immigration status, it's called the SAVE system, which stands for Systematic Alien Verification for Entitlements. It had a lag. The termination for Bond's parole in June 2025 didn't always update in state accessible records immediately here. Massachusetts said when Bond first applied in March 2025, the system showed him as work authorized. They ran the checks. They got the green light. That's the chain, 5 links, each one a place where the outcome could have been significantly different. And here's the quote unquote honest version of Massachusetts' defense here. The Massachusetts Registry of Motor Vehicles told reporters directly when Bond applied in March 2025, the federal SAVE database shows him as work authorized. According to them, they followed the process. The database said go, they issued the license. They also said if Bond had applied for his renewal after the Trump administration's new CDL directives took effect, he would have been rejected. Both of those things are true, but his parole was terminated in June 2025. His license was renewed in February 2026. 8 months later, a removal order sitting in one federal database and a work authorization flag sitting in another should not produce a renewed CDL, a renewed commercial trucking license. That, my friends, is the argument, and it doesn't require exaggerating a single fact here. There's one more thing about the Massachusetts CDL pipeline that the national coverage quietly and conveniently buried.
DHS is working hand in hand with Sean Duffy and his department. So the problem is we're working very well with red states. Blue states is still a struggle, right? Places like New York, I mean, ICE and CBP can't even get access to the DMV database to run the checks. She's a sanctuary governor in a sanctuary state. She is normalizing illegal immigration, whether it's issuing driver's licenses, giving in-state tuition to illegal aliens, providing them with, social benefits. You are normalizing illegal immigration, and that's one of the drivers of illegal immigration. That's why they come here. That's why they flock to sanctuary cities to get all these free benefits, and plus they're protected by the establishment.
Governor Healy, who runs the state and issued and renewed Michael Bond's license, had issued no public statement about the crash as of the recording of this video. But that's not the thing I need you to hold on to. Before Pahira's crash, 6 Massachusetts state police officers assigned to the CDL unit, the division responsible for commercial driver's license testing, were federally convicted in a bribery scheme. 6 officers. They were conveniently accepting gifts in exchange for passing commercial driver's license applicants who had failed their skills test. Prosecutors called it a quote unquote golden handshake. And you guys, I want to be precise here. There was no evidence at this moment connecting Michael Bond directly to that bribery scheme. The documented record does not support that claim. And at the time of recording this video, I'm not going to make that. But I'm telling you, the same institutional pipeline that handles Massachusetts CDLs, the commercial driver's license, included a non-domicile category, had 6 of its own members convicted of selling passing grades. The governor of that state, miraculously, has not addressed either issue. This is not a Pennsylvania story. Duffy, he named all of them.
So this year alone, a series of horrific fatal crashes have been caused by dangerous non-domiciled CDL drivers. So I want to go through a couple of examples. I'll pull the first one up here. On March 14th in Texas, a truck driver failed to brake and crashed into a long line of traffic. This caused a 17-vehicle pileup that killed 5 people, including 2 children, and 11 were hospitalized. On May 6th in Alabama, a driver with less than 6 weeks of experience slammed his tractor and trailer into 4 vehicles stopped at a red light. He killed 2 people and he injured 4. And my third example, this of course was the fatal car crash in Florida earlier this summer, and many in the media had reported on that. On August 12th, the driver who had attempted an unauthorized U-turn on the Florida Turnpike caused this crash. It caused a minivan to crash into his trailer, killing 3 people. So again, in each of these tragedies, the drivers were non-domiciled.
That press conference happened before Pahira's crash. Duffy already had 3 states. Now he has 4. According to the former Deputy Assistant Secretary at DHS, who appeared on Fox News in the days following the crash, there have been approximately 17 fatal crashes this past year involving illegal aliens with commercial driver's license. The authority to audit CDLs, set eligible requirements, and withhold federal highway funding from states that didn't comply was already sitting in a federal statute. The mechanism already existed, just nobody picked it up until now. And those of you that aren't familiar with it, here's what Duffy actually did. And this is where the story becomes an action plan, not just a tragedy.
Non-citizens will not be eligible for a CDL unless they meet a much stricter set of rules. Second, all states must immediately pause the issuance of non-domiciled CDLs until they can comply with our new rules. My message, it's very simple. Get into compliance now, or we'll pull funding and we'll force you into compliance.
This is not a proposal, not a comment, not a bill waiting for a committee vote. Duffy announced an emergency final rule effective the day that he said it. Non-citizens cannot receive a commercial driver's license unless they meet a new, stricter federal standard. Every state must immediately pause issuing non-domicile CDLs. Full stop. And then Duffy went to California. The FMCSA, that is the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, the federal office that regulates commercial trucking, sent investigators to California for 2 weeks. They pulled a random sample of non-domicile CDLs. More than 1 in 4 were issued in direct violation of the federal safety standards. Well, let me quickly give you specific cases that Duffy named on that podium. A driver from Honduras, the California DMV had no record that it even checked whether he was legally in the country or not before issuing him a CDL with a tanker and double, triple endorsements. That basically means what a tanker endorsement means is that he's cleared to haul fuel down the freeway, okay? Double, triple means cleared to pull linked trailer combinations here. The work authorization document on file with the California DMV had expired, forget this, for 4 years. They issued the license anyway. Stay with that for a second. A CDL issued in California is valid in all 50 states. That truck can drive through Nevada, it can drive through Arizona, through Pennsylvania. Every illegal issued California license is on the roads that you have driven California has 30 days to fix its system. If it doesn't, $160 million in federal highway funding withheld for 1 year. That doubles in year 2. Duffy also confirmed endorsement actions are coming for Colorado. They're coming for Pennsylvania, South Dakota, Texas, and Washington State that issued these licenses improperly. And here's the part that tells you the scope here. On May 1st, before Pahira's death, 28,000 illegal issued CDLs have already been revoked. In one Indiana sting operation alone, 233 people were arrested, and 143 of them were truck drivers with illegal license. The pipeline, it's being closed one by one. But Michael Pahira, he's still gone. America, here's the verdict. Biden flew him in. The federal statute system had a lag. Massachusetts issued the license and renewed it 8 months after the removal order. The CDL unit in the state already had 6 troopers convicted of selling passing grades. And for 17 crashes plus across this country, nothing happened. Pahira moved back home to take care of his mother. He was doing a truck safety inspection the morning that he was killed. Duffy's rule is signed. The audits are running. 30 days for California. Funding pulled for those that don't comply. The door, my friends, is finally closing. It closes 1 year too late. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.